Bye. Michael, what are you?
So, IVF.
Oh, the IDF. Oh, the famous IVF. Because that guy was talking about the IDF.
Yeah. So, can we say that it is also murder in the way that we say abortion is murder?
Because of embryos being destroyed as a byproduct.
Yeah, I think we can. It must be, because it seems to me impossible for an educated Western person to be ignorant of the fact that this is a human being, albeit in a tiny stage of development. But size itself is not important, and stage of development can't be important. Otherwise, a father would say his younger children are less important than his older children, but none of them ever do. Yeah, so none of them ever do say that. So they all know that whatever stage of development you're at isn't the key thing, and they know that what's inside of a woman is always human. So they
not inside a woman. In IVF, they grow the embryo in a lab and then they destroy
Yeah.
it. So is the Catholic Church opposed to IVF because it results in destruction of embryos in the way that it opposes abortion?
Yes, it's absolutely unacceptable that embryos are destroyed.
I didn't know that. I'm glad.
Oh, right.
I didn't know
the church.
I think the church is against IVF.
I didn't know that.
Oh, good. Well, no, but at least it's consistent. There's a consistency. I didn't know that.
I don't necessarily agree with it.
Because,
and the reason I don't is when somebody's not yet formed as a human body in any way, they actually don't quite exist. They could die long before that in the embryo form. No, for do miscarriages. They die long before they're anything.
I get hit by a bus.
So
no,
just
but not, they're not. They've got spinal cord. They've got anything. They're just a fertilised cell. I mean, they're not human yet.
okay. So now, what are they if they're not human?
They're the beginning of something that will become human.
So they will become human, but they're not human.
Possibly.
When does it become human?
Possibly they will. Possibly they won't.
Okay. So could they ever become like alligators or
No,
cats?
but they could become funny, strange objects.
Not human. Could they? Could they ever?
Yes, they could become strange objects.
Right.
Because they're functioning wrong. My mother, in fact, had several miscarriages. I think she had a strange thing formed before I was born.
And they weren't human?
No.
So what were they?
Just a bit of flesh.
But was he human flesh?
No.
Wasn't human flesh.
It was just a bit of flesh. It didn't have a spine or anything.
So could it have been dog flesh?
No, we don't know. But it wasn't. It didn't have a spine. Didn't have.
We don't know. It wasn't dog
Well, it wasn't. It didn't have a face or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was a
But-
bit of meat.
But it was from your mother.
Yes.
Your mother was human because you're human.
Well, you think so? You think so? You might be
So
wrong.
I deduced because you're human, your mum was human. Therefore,
That's a
whatever,
good deduction.
That's good.
whatever. I just,
Merlin wasn't. He was half animal.
we're not talking about Merlin right now.
I might be Merlin.
If your dad was Merlin, you might have a bit of a point to bring that. But therefore, whatever comes from your... Okay, let's take dogs and cats. Whatever comes from a dog has never given birth to a kitten.
No, but this is a very simplistic argument.
I'm sorry, you got to bear with me.
I understand your direction, but your direction, you really, when they're talking about a living thing, it's something when the spine is formed and you know that's going to become. Before that, it can die any number of ways.
Now, as my friend said, he could be hit by a bus. Anything can die.
It wouldn't be the same though.
Anything that's alive can die
Yes, but
at
it
any
wasn't-
stage
it
once
wasn't
it's become
developed.
alive.
It wasn't developed into a human yet. When it's developed a spine and you can see it's developing and it's got heart and all that.
So that's what matters then, not the miscarriage, because the miscarriage is just a death of a living thing at a certain stage of its development. If he was hit by a bus, he'd be dying at a certain stage of development.
He's already
A very old man would die at a different stage of development than him, but it doesn't matter the stage of development you die at. So dying is not the issue. Miscarriages can never be the issue then, because that's just about death. The question is what you said about the spinal column and all that kind of stuff. That's what matters. So forget miscarriage, it's irrelevant. The point you made is relevant about spinal column. Now, there's a stage at which I haven't got a fully developed brain. When I'm a baby and I'm just born,
I'm tempted to
listen, when I was born, I couldn't talk.
No.
So I didn't have a fully developed brain.
No.
So therefore, I'm less of a human being than I am now.
Yeah, because you were still on the development stage. Your glial cells were not developed in a way. They increased multiply, so you can actually have enough neurotransmitters to think properly.
Right. So, as I was less of a human being, then does that mean I could be killed if there were various circumstances which justified it?
Recognizably human. So a fertile cell isn't recognizably human.
But you were just, I was just going on what you were saying, that the creature doesn't have a spinal cord.
So this one didn't.
Right.
It wasn't a creature, it wasn't alive.
Now, an entity that's in the woman's body, if any particular woman, has not got a spinal column.
No more than the cancer is, no. It's not alive.
Right. Now, but because of that, not having those particular features of a developed human being, therefore you can abort it.
Yeah, you did anyway.
But I, as a baby, or you as a baby, didn't have certain features that a developed human being has. So could they be killed as a baby?
No, they were still under development, but they were recognisably human.
When you say recognisably,
well, they got spines, they got eyes, they got hearts, they got lungs.
okay, but they got certain things that a fully developed human being has. They lacked other things that that a fully developed.
Things are undeveloped, fairly undeveloped. When the spine cord first develops, you look like more or less any other animal. It looks exactly the same.
Do looks matter?
No, and let me get this right. You look very much like any other animal. As you get bigger and bigger, you begin to differentiate to not look like another animal. Because we're in the same pattern.
That's just about what we look like. Now you can look at the DNA, you know. It doesn't matter what, at the earliest stage, from the moment of conception, look at the DNA of that thing, it's entirely different from the DNA of a dog or a cat. Or a rabbit.
We're not entirely different. It's the same structures but different order. But yes, when they say entirely different, the sequence is different, but the chemicals are the same.
I wouldn't argue with you about that.
Cats don't produce elephants and so on and so forth. However, now they can. You can do that. It is now possible. A mammoth is under construction as we speak.
We mustn't talk about non-natural processes in this discussion.
They're taking mammoth DNA, elephant DNA, putting it in an elephant, and mammoth is born.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. Yeah, how does it help the argument though?
Well, I mean, that's alive, but the point, I think, life doesn't begin until it's recognised as an entity.
But then when you say recognised as, when I mentioned DNA, you can recognise the humanness of a thing that is otherwise like a blob under a microscope.
Well, you can take a piece of your skin and get the DNA, but it's not a human. It's a bit of
mammoth
skin.
thing. If you put mammoth DNA to an elephant as a surrogate, and it will still be a mammoth if they're able to do it.
Well, actually, they are able to do it. It's a elephant. It's actually they didn't have all the DNA, so they robbed some from an elephant.
Okay, perfect.
And it
So
became a man elephant.
as a man elephant or an elephant.
Because they're trying to put them in the tundra. Because they're
Would you?
It's still human.
Would you say?
It's 100% human. What looks like it.
So
not anything else.
Yeah. So the question then I'm asking you is that if you made a scientist quiz show, and you put all these little blobs on a table, and you say, find the human, find the kitten, right? And he gets his microscope, and all these scientists do that. Are they going to have any difficulty in locating the human?
They will say, if you've got a cell that's recognisably DNA cell of yours, but it's not human, that's a cell. End of story. It's not human.
I think we're talking about embryos, not cells.
What I'm talking about, it's just been formed, and so you put all these along on a table.
But it's not a human.
So therefore we can clearly distinguish a human embryo from a kitten embryo, or a puppy embryo.
I don't know if that can actually be done because you would have to probably destroy it.
But that's only because of the present technology, isn't it?
Yeah, but
You're saying it's potentially.
I don't know if it's potentially possible.
So you think it might not be?
No, the complexity of the thing is it's like saying I'm going to take the machine apart while it's moving.
No, you're taking a female ovum, and a male sperm. That's the kind of those are the materials that produce this conceptus.
As I said to you, up to when you develop the spinal cord a bit further, you cannot tell by looking at the thing that's developing if it's a human or
I'm
not.
getting away from this, the eyes. I'm getting away from that. I'm trying to say, you take a female ovum and a human male sperm, right? If you take a dog sperm and a bitch ovum, and you get an embryo of both, and you put them on the table in a petri dish and a microscope, and you get a bunch of scientists to look. Is it?
I don't know.
Is it are the two distinguishable?
I don't know.
Okay, if it's not distinguishable, could it be something other than human? Can we just argue the real point, which is it is human,
Is
it's
it
okay to
anything?
kill it?
No,
That's the real question.
is it anything?
All right. Can you take a male sperm of a dog and a cat, a tomcat and a human male, and put them on three dishes, and ask the scientists to detect which sperm belongs to which species? Can you do that?
You can do the sperm, yeah.
So you can do the sperm. Now you take the three ova,
You couldn't
right?
necessarily tell.
So you with the sperm you can, but not with the ova.
A little bit easier with the sperm.
Okay, but the ova problematic.
Problematic.
All right. Impossible.
I don't know. I can't. I'm not qualified to tell you.
All right. So what we'd say is, as Catholics, and you can say what you say, recognisably not human. It's simply this. Recognisably is a purely subjective term. Purely subjective. One's capacity to recognise an object does not alter at all the nature of that object. It's just a question of whether one can recognise what that object is or not. But the object remains what it is, irrespective of whether there's an observer. It's not quantum physics.
You certainly couldn't just by looking at the egg tell what it was.
It don't matter what you can tell. This is about you as an observer of an object which exists when you exist independently of an observer. It doesn't matter whether the observer knows anything about you or not. It just doesn't matter.
I don't know, interesting.
Oh, what? It's a bit of a scrap, is it? Oh dear, oh dear.
I don't like
We got some. No, it's so bad, isn't it?
I left behind violence a long time ago.
Very good man. Very good man.
Well, I'm prepared to use it if necessary.
But anyway.
Bad side then.
Anyway, because I just don't want to lose the thread, of course.